Can we jump here? I'm thinking of
I'm thinking that I'm talking too much.
No, it's great. But I just want to get to some times in your life when I know the audience is dying to know more about. So let's start by how do you get to New York and to Fania, which is, I guess, a legendary story by now.
Actually, Noriega had a lot to do with it. My father Noriega had a problem, and he accused my dad of being involved in some plot or something. So my family left in '73. They went to Miami. And I didn't go with them because in those days, I was in the middle of finishing my thesis, which was based on recidivism. I had been working in jails in Panama, interviewing people in jail. And the last part of my investigation took me to an island, penal island in Panama called Coiba. No longer is there. It's no longer there. It's now a protected patrimony of mankind, declared so by UNESCO. But in those,
that was your uncle.
Huh?
That was your uncle.
Yeah, well, he had been in the part of the Panamanian Vernacular. And so I went to Coiba and I finished my 60 interviews there. And then I went to the oral, the sustentation of my thesis, and I got my note, and I made my bag and left Panama. I didn't go to my graduation. I never went to my college graduation. And my mother didn't see me, and my father didn't see me graduate. So I got to Miami, and they were having a lot of trouble because my mother was a U.S. citizen. And like I said, her father was born in New Orleans, so he registered all his children in the American embassy. He ended up in Cuba at some point. He went with Teddy Roosevelt. He ended up in Cuba and then had 11 children, including my mom. So he registered them in the U.S. embassy. But my father was not a citizen or a resident. And I had 3 small brothers and 2 brothers, and Roy, Robert, and Melanie, my sister. They were having a lot of trouble. So I felt terrible because I couldn't be a lawyer there. My degree was not something that I could use there. And I didn't know what to do because I felt useless, and I was old. You know, I was 26 years old and not doing anything. Just in the house there, watching everybody go through all this difficulty. So I called Fania Records and offered my services as a singer, and they said no. So I remember that. I mean, I didn't know what else to do. And I remember that I was going to hang up, and then I thought, and I said, "Excuse me, is there anything else there?" He says, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, any job?" He says, "There's a job in the mailroom." And I said, "What does that mean?" And then what do you have to do? And then they explained to me what it was, and I said, "How much does it pay?" You know, and they said, you know, and I said, "I'll take it." And I took a Greyhound bus, and I told my mom, I said, you know, I got to do something. So I went to New York in the Greyhound bus, and it was very funny because when I got to New York at Port Authority, I didn't know where these offices were. They turned out to be like 15 blocks up on Manhattan.
You've never been to New York before?
I had been, but I really didn't know the city that well. So I rushed over there. When I got in to the Fania thing to report for duty, I remembered that I had left my guitar in Port Authority. So I just walked into the guy and I said, "Hi," like a Groucho Marx thing. "Hi, I must be going," you know. Just rushed back to get my guitar, and I came back. And that's how I started. I started in the mailroom in Fania, actually. That's where that was my first job.
And what was your first break there?
Actually, Barreto, God bless him, one of the most intelligent, most professional musicians that I ever had the fortune of meeting. Ray was, he was perplexed by the fact that the guy in the mailroom was a lawyer who sang. So I remember somebody told him, "Hey, Ray had always great bands, but the band had suffered one break, and Alberto Santiago, great sonero, had left, and then Tito Allen came in, wonderful singer, Tito Allen, excellent singer. Tito came in, and then Tito left. So now Ray is without a singer. So somebody says, that guy in the mailroom, he sings. And Ray says, if he sings, what is he doing in the mailroom? So Ray first wanted to see me, I think, to certiorate himself, make sure that I wasn't nuts, you know. And then I went over to a tryout, and just in case, he brought another singer from Puerto Rico, Tito Gomez. God bless him. Tito had worked with La Sonora Ponceña. Tito was coming from a place in Puerto Rico, Juanadía, and wonderful guy, great sense of humor, and Ray hired us both, so we both sang, and became very, very good friends. And we were both coming from somewhere else. I mean, Tito was coming from Puerto Rico, from Juanadías, it's a rural area, you know, and I was coming from Panama, and we was checking on each other. I remember, I have to say this, it was very funny. One day, I asked Tito all the time, but Tito didn't speak English that well. So I asked Tito, how are you doing? And Tito would say what he was doing in the weekend. So he said, I saw a movie, I saw a great movie. He said, yeah? What did you see? I said, great movie. It's a really scary movie. He said, what movie was that? House. I said, House. What was it about? He said, it's a shark. We became very, very close. Well, there's Blades for you. We became very close, but Ray gave us the break to both of us.